It's really interesting because we've been doing some work abroad in Brazil, and the movement patterns that we see that are associated with non-contact ACL injuries in the US are the same ones really that you see really kind of abroad. And sports today are very different than what they used to be when I was in school. When I was in school, you had a season. You played soccer and then you played another sport in your off season. And now today, sports tend to be so all year long. You tend to specialize in sports today that you just didn't do that when you were, back when I was in school. And I think that adds to a lot of unidirectional types of training. There's not that multi-sport training that we used to get. There's not that multi-directional training that we used to get. I think from a skill acquisition standpoint, but also a training standpoint, I think that's important. And with kids specializing so much in just one sport, I think it tends to lead to movement patterns that put people at risk for injury. At the same time, there's a tremendous amount that we have learned from some great researchers about things that we should be addressing. And unfortunately, today, we still do not apply that in the training room. And I can't tell you how many times I see kids doing lunges or doing single limb types of activities, demonstrating the exact movement patterns that we know that put them at risk. And simply just making them aware of that and simply not allowing them to do that during those activities would make a huge change. But unfortunately, we're not seeing that applied where the rubber meets the road. Initially, when I got into this, we started focusing on the biomechanics that are associated with ACL injuries. We started focusing on the movement patterns that we knew that put people at risk for ACL injuries. And one of the things that we've actually been tracking through our work is not only the impact that we're having on ACL injuries, we're actually tracking the impact that we're having on all lower extremity injuries, and specifically non-contact. And the biggest thing that we're seeing is that when you improve the movements that are associated with non-contact injuries, well, guess what? Non-contact ankle injuries reduce, non-contact other knee injuries reduce, non-contact hip injuries reduce, and non-contact low back injuries reduce. And in our work in Division I athletics, we've seen a 58.2% reduction in non-contact lower extremity injuries. Now here's the really interesting part, because one of the things that we're also doing is we're tracking claim submissions. And what we're seeing is we're seeing huge healthcare cost savings to universities when they actually change these movements. Because changing these movements means that their better players are in the game more often, which means they win more games, but it also saves them on healthcare costs.